Today we are bringing you a tax-free digital nomad visa, or at least for most people, probably tax-free, that leads to permanent residence, quite rare, with no income requirements, also quite rare. And this is a country that, in general, has some very tax-favorable statuses. I will talk about them in a future video. Today, we're though going to focus on the digital nomad visa for people who are interested in being in Latin America. It is one of the new ones and perhaps quite interesting to some people. There are some nuances about it that I think are kind of annoying in terms of the actual mechanics. I will cover those with you. However, for those who are interested, this is one that you should definitely add. And if you're looking for a place where you can have a very tax optimized life, this is definitely also one that you should add and go and check out and see what you think. I will caution you in advance that, well, I'll share with you in a little bit about what some of the experiences that people have, because I kind of try to aggregate the thoughts of people who have gone to some of these places and give a little bit of feedback accordingly for those who are interested. So let's dive in and discuss it. Before we do, if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button, hit the all notification bell. Thank you for being here with us. If this is your first time, welcome. I really appreciate your support. I am Michael from Offshore Citizen. We are some of the foremost international tax experts in the world, and we help people with relocating abroad, doing business in different countries, figuring out where to get set up, getting second passports, hiring staff, et cetera, et cetera. And so if you're interested in any of those things, please reach out to us. You can book a call with me, calendly.com/Michael-Rosmer. There's a link in the description below, or send a message through offshorecitizen.net. Okay, so what is this country? This country is the country of Uruguay. So it is in Latin America, which means that for people who are wanting to be on a North American time zone, that's kind of appealing for them. Some people would say, and it kind of gets marketed, that Uruguay is the Switzerland of Latin America. I think that's probably being a little bit generous to Uruguay. Even if we look at, say, the banking there, which kind of amongst certain people gets lauded, it's not the top ranked banking in Latin America. The top ranked banking in Latin America is in Chile. But this being said, you know, certainly better than some parts of Latin America. And so, you know, certain people are quite interested in that. Now, I will caution, a lot of people find Uruguay to be quite a boring country. I think in general, a lot of parts of Latin America are still kind of lacking polish in terms of things. Now, that might be the charm of it, right? That might be the appeal. You may, you know, love the nature. You may love the kind of a little bit rough around the edges sort of approach. Certainly, Uruguay is one that has a bit more European vibe to it than some of the places in Latin America, and a bunch of people really like that. Some people will argue that they're quite famous for their steak. I don't know, I'm like a big food guy, and I'm very partial to Japanese steak, so it's hard to sway me. People will, you know, give the story about Argentinian beef or Black Angus or, you know, whatever other. I'm gonna go with Japanese beef, probably pretty much every time. But that being said, to each their own, and so some people really like that. There is kind of a famous sort of party city there, and so you can go to the beaches, etc. Some people will enjoy that. And the appeal here is Uruguay is super tax-friendly. Okay, it's one of the most tax-friendly countries in Latin America, which makes it one of the most tax-friendly countries in the world. So you can essentially get an exemption from tax. The digital nomad visa, a little bit annoyingly, is a 6-month visa that then is extendable for 6 months, and if you go and are resident there for 2 years, then you can qualify permanent residency. That's a really appealing thing. The tax thing is a really appealing thing. This 6 months then renewal thing, I think, is quite annoying. Another thing that is appealing about it is there's technically no minimum state requirements. You have to give an affidavit that basically states that you have enough money or have enough income in order to qualify. And certainly with any digital nomad visa, it's not a visa for working in the country, meaning that you can't get a local job. The idea essentially is we want people to come here, spend money in our economy, but not take away jobs from our people. That's kind of the basic concept behind digital nomad visas. You're typically going to require your own healthcare, of course, and need to submit a criminal record check. Now, there's an interesting thing with the Uruguayan criminal record check, which is, generally speaking, when you move to a new country, you need to submit a criminal record check for every country that you've lived over 6 months in the last, you know, often your life. Here's in the last 5 years, which is a little bit more accommodating. You can imagine, I was talking to a client, I think it was yesterday, something like that, who had lived in 6 or 7 countries and was going to go real quick, and they're like, okay, this is going to be kind of a pain in the ass to go and collect all these different things. Well, in the case of Uruguay, only in the last 5 years, which may make it a little bit easier for you. So pretty easy process. Now, there's another annoying thing. So in the case of this, you can start the process outside of the country, but you have to actually be in the country to complete the process. And the thing I find a little bit weird and annoying is the payment method. So it's like this tiny payment that you have to make, but you basically have to make the payment using the local payment rails infrastructure system. So, if you don't have banking in Uruguay, you're typically going to have to go somewhere and get somebody to pay for you, or use one of these services that can go and accept for paying of local bills. So anyway, I find that a little bit annoying as opposed to just being able to go and use a credit card online and pay it, but it is what it is. So yeah, those would be my two complaints mainly with this are the renewal process and this thing about how you have to come in there and go and make the payment through kind of their normal local payment systems. It's not very international in that regard. However, super easy to qualify for, quite quick to get a decision, go through that process. Certainly hyper favorable tax environment, relatively inexpensive part of the world, appealing because of the time zone for a lot of people. And of course, you don't have to be there for 6 months if you didn't want to. However, if you want to spend over 6 months a year and you do that for a couple of years, you can qualify for permanent residency, which is very rare. Most digital nomad visas do not lead to permanent residency. The fact that it is possible through the Uruguayan system is really excellent. So if you're interested in that, or you're thinking about other places to relocate, we've got lots of videos on lots of different countries you can go and check out. But for ones that are specific to you, because there's no one size fits all, everything is different, as well as kind of then figuring out the tax planning for that, going through the process, etc. Please reach out to us. I will look forward to seeing you on the next video.